When the slender figure of Nine Nether appeared on the super battle stage, as expected, another bronze statue was activated. Then, a massive figure filled with a menacing aura descended heavily from the sky, landing on the stage. Chen and the others quickly shifted their gazes towards it. The figure was towering like a tower, its body shining brilliantly in gold, as if made of solid gold. It appeared indestructible. Its head was unmistakably a fierce lion's head, also golden in color, but its eyes were blood red, full of savage and violent energy. As this golden figure appeared, a fierce and brutal aura filled the air. One of the 10 fierce beasts, the golden demonic lion. Mandala glanced at the golden figure and said slowly, "This kind of fierce beast has an extremely powerful physical body, and its strength is likely even more ferocious than the previous beasts." Upon hearing this, the kings could not help but narrow their eyes. However, Nine Nether's original form is the Nine Nether Soul Sparrow. Its divine beast bloodline is just as strong, if not stronger, than this golden demonic lion. Once they truly clash, it may not necessarily end in defeat. Mandala nodded gently. Nine Nether is a genius of the Nine Nether Sparrow clan. To evolve into the Nine Nether Soul Sparrow at such a young age is already quite rare among their kind. If she gets the right opportunities in the future, she might even break through her limits and awaken the bloodline of the Undying Bird. The Heavenly Vulture Emperor also nodded. The Blood Eagle King and the others could not help but click their tongues. The Undying Bird was one of the top divine beasts in the Great Thousand Worlds, ranking high on the divine beast list. Every divine beast that successfully evolved to this stage was a peak powerhouse famous throughout the world. Chen's gaze fixed on Nine Nether's slender figure, feeling the immense spiritual energy radiating from her. He couldn't help but reflect on the past. When he and Nine Nether first arrived in the Great Luo Heaven Domain, one had just broken through to the Supreme Stage, while the other had only completed their evolution and barely had the strength to fight a 5th grade Supreme. Back then, Chen was still inconspicuous, and Nine Nether was at the bottom of the king's rankings. Yet, no one had anticipated that within just 2 short years, the seemingly insignificant youth would become one of the kings, and Nine Nether's strength would rise to the level of a 6th grade Supreme. Although from the progress of Chen and Nine Nether, it seemed the former would win, Nine Nether was a divine beast. The cultivation of divine beasts was very different from that of humans. While they might progress slowly at ordinary times, if they ever broke through their limits, their improvement speed would be staggering. In the past year, Nine Nether had also been in seclusion, cultivating diligently. While others might not have known, Chen was well aware. Now, within the kings, aside from Xun'er King and Mountain-Splitting King who could easily overpower her, none of the others could do so. However, today's battle might change Nine Nether's position among the kings of the Great Luo Heaven Domain. On the battle stage, Nine Nether's beautiful eyes focused on the golden figure, her gaze sharpening. They had already lost 4 matches, meaning they needed to win 3 out of the next 5 battles to have a chance of breaking the formation. Winning 3 out of 5 battles was no easy feat if she lost this match. Their chances of breaking the formation would be slim. Thus, she could not afford to lose. Nine Nether took a deep breath, her jade-like hand gripping the hilt of a black feather sword that flashed into her grasp. Purple flames blazed on the sword. This was the undying fire. Boom. As Nine Nether channeled her spiritual energy, the golden demonic lion's red eyes locked onto her. It did not wait for Nine Nether to make her move, but charged forward with lightning speed. Golden light erupted as the golden demonic lion stomped the ground, creating a rushing sound of wind. Its massive body appeared in front of Nine Nether, and then its golden-like iron fist slammed down mercilessly. With a single punch, the air was shattered, and the pressure was so immense that the special floor beneath them cracked open. This showed just how terrifying the power of the golden demonic lion's punch was. Golden light flooded their vision, and Nine Nether's beautiful eyes narrowed. She raised her black feather sword and blocked the golden fist. Clang! The sound of metal colliding echoed, and the black feather sword was bent into a shocking arc by the golden demonic lion's punch. However, it didn't break immediately. The Nine Nether's beautiful eyes narrowed, and the purple flame burning on the black feather sword suddenly blazed, attaching itself to the giant fist of the golden demonic lion. In an instant, a sizzling sound was heard, and the golden light on the golden demonic lion's fist dimmed slightly. Although the golden demonic lion's defense was formidable, it was clear that Nine Nether's undying fire was not to be underestimated. Roar! The intense burning pain in its fist caused the golden demonic lion to roar in fury. The strength of its punch increased dramatically, and with a powerful strike, it forced Nine Nether to stagger backward. Screech! As Nine Nether was pushed back, vast spiritual energy began to condense behind her, gradually taking the shape of an enormous Nine Nether soul sparrow. It seemed as though the soul sparrow spread its wings, and the next moment, the black feathers burning with purple flame shot out in all directions, engulfing the golden demonic lion. These black feathers were all formed from Nine Nether's own spiritual energy, capable of piercing through gold and stone. With the addition of the domineering undying fire, their power was even more terrifying. Even a 6th grade supreme would not dare to underestimate them. Roar! The golden demonic lion, clearly wary of the power of the undying fire, let out a roar, its sound waves booming like thunder. Then, golden light erupted from its body, forming into a massive golden bell that enveloped it. The golden bell shimmered with a brilliant golden hue, appearing indestructible, clearly the golden demonic lion's defensive measure. Clang! Clang! The sky was filled with purple flames and black feathers striking the golden bell, creating a continuous sound of metal clashing. Ripples appeared on the surface of the bell, but it remained unbroken. This guy's defense is truly formidable. Nine Nether She, Blood Eagle King, and the others furrowed their brows upon seeing this. Nine Nether's attack seemed unable to break through the golden demonic lion's defense, and if this continued, it would consume her spiritual energy. If the golden demonic lion found an opening, it would likely unleash a thunderous assault to decide the battle in one blow. However, while they frowned, Mandala's eyes, fixed on the battlefield, suddenly brightened. Muchen also noticed this change and shifted his gaze. As the black feathers overwhelmed the battlefield, he realized that countless black feathers had already embedded themselves around the spot where the golden demonic lion stood. These black feathers were burning with purple flames. Although they appeared chaotic, Muchen, with his sharp senses as a battle formation master, could detect strange fluctuations amid the apparent disorder. Clang! Clang! The overwhelming barrage of black feathers began to weaken, and as the final feather fell and was blocked by the golden bell, the bell wobbled and shattered. With the golden bell broken, the imposing and malevolent figure of the golden demonic lion stood firm. Its crimson eyes locked onto Nine Nether, and a cruel, vicious smile seemed to appear on its face. Nine Nether's powerful assault had shown signs of faltering. Next, the golden demonic lion would unleash its devastating thunderous assault and tear this opponent apart. Roar! The golden demonic lion slammed its massive fist against its chest, causing a tremendous sound to reverberate. Brilliant golden light erupted everywhere, and its spiritual energy became extremely violent. However, just as the golden demonic lion was about to launch its thunderous attack, a cold smile appeared on Nine Nether's face. She suddenly formed a hand seal. Blaze! The moment Nine Nether completed the hand seal, the countless black feathers scattered around the golden demonic lion suddenly ignited, and purple flames roared into the air, quickly forming into a purple flame furnace that engulfed the golden demonic lion. Undying flame furnace. As the purple flame furnace took shape, the golden demonic lion trapped within it let out a heart-rending scream. Its golden-like body began to show signs of melting. The ground beneath the purple flame furnace also turned dry and cracked due to the terrifying heat. Outside the battlefield, Blood Eagle King and the others couldn't help but take a sharp breath. They had all sensed the terrifying power of the purple flame furnace. If they were trapped inside, even if they activated their supreme Dharmakaya, they would still be slowly melted away. This undying fire was truly tyrannical. The golden demonic lion roared wildly, desperately attempting to activate its spiritual energy for one final fight. However, the Nine Nether did not give it such an opportunity. With a cold, beautiful face, she clenched her jade hand, and instantly, the purple flame furnace shrank rapidly, before exploding with a deafening sound. The purple flame shot out in all directions, splashing against the light screen surrounding the battle stage, instantly scorching the screen with ripples. The temperature in the entire hall seemed to rise drastically at that moment. Nine Nether stood on the battle stage, her beautiful eyes looking forward. The place where the golden demonic lion once stood was now empty, with only a pool of golden liquid left on the ground. Sizzle! The golden liquid shattered, transforming into golden light spots that whizzed towards Nine Nether, eventually burrowing into her body. These golden light spots were clearly the essence of spiritual energy left behind by the golden demonic lion. Nine Nether stood quietly on the battle stage. About half an hour later, she slowly opened her eyes. In that instant, Chen and the others noticed that Nine Nether's spiritual energy had become even more powerful and refined. Clearly, she had gained substantial benefits. Blood Eagle King and the others looked on with envy, but they knew that this opportunity was earned through Nine Nether's own ability. They had once had the same chance, but unfortunately, they lacked the strength to seize it. Nevertheless, the sixth challenge was over, and the Great Luo Heaven Domain had finally won again. But now, they still needed to win 2 more battles to break through this ancient hall and enter the depths of the Earth's supreme relic. However, after these 6 battles, only 4 of the 10 kings of the Great Luo Heaven Domain had yet to step forward, and these 4 were, to some extent, considered the weaker ones among the 10 kings. Could they really secure 2 more victories? Nine Nether's slender figure swept off the battle stage. At this moment, a powerful wave of spiritual energy surrounded her. After absorbing the spiritual energy essence left behind by the golden demonic lion, her strength had clearly improved once again. At the sight of Nine Nether, the kings of the Great Luo Heaven Domain unconsciously grew more solemn. Especially Blood Eagle King and the others. Their gazes towards Nine Nether were filled with genuine respect. After the earlier battles, they had realized that Nine Nether's strength had already surpassed theirs. Among the kings of the Great Luo Heaven Domain, only Xun'er King and Mountain Splitting King could still stand firm against Nine Nether. In fact, if given more time, it was likely that even Mountain Splitting King would soon be surpassed by her. Thinking of this, Blood Eagle King and the others couldn't help but feel a sense of regret. When Nine Nether first became a king of the Great Luo Heaven Domain, standing on equal footing with them, it was only through the recommendation of Heavenly Vulture Emperor and the background of her 9 Nether Sparrow clan. The Blood Eagle King and the others had underestimated her because of this background, which led to years of lingering grudges. But after today's battle, they had to admit that the 9 Nether they had once underestimated had now quietly surpassed them all. This realization stirred a complex feeling in their hearts. Hee, well done, Heavenly Vulture Emperor said with a smile as he looked at Nine Nether. Her outstanding performance had certainly boosted his pride. Mandala also nodded slightly. Nine Nether's crisp and decisive battle earlier had indeed been a sight to behold. Heavenly Vulture Emperor was right. Nine Nether's talent was extraordinary, and her future achievements were limitless. Nine Nether smiled, her beautiful eyes turning toward the 4 remaining kings who had yet to take action, among them, Chen. Now that the challenge had reached its 6th round, the Great Luo Heaven Domain had only won 2 battles. They still needed to win 2 more to break the formation and exit. But clearly, this was not going to be easy. The remaining 4 kings were the weakest of the lot, and as for Chen, if his army were with him, he would likely surpass Mountain Splitting King in strength, second only to Xun'er King. Unfortunately, the army couldn't be used here, and Chen could only rely on his 5th grade supreme strength. Most of the other kings were already at the 6th grade supreme level, so on the surface, Chen was nearly at the bottom. Mandala's delicate brows were furrowed, clearly aware of the difficult battles ahead. However, at this point, giving up was simply not an option. Even though the chances of success were slim, she had to at least try. Thus, her gaze shifted toward the remaining 4 kings: Iron Python King, Diamond King, Cliff King, and finally, Chen. Among the 4, the first 3 had only recently broken through to the 6th grade supreme level. Their strength was slightly weaker than that of Blood Eagle King and the others. As for Chen, he was a 5th grade supreme. Though she knew the odds were not in their favor, Mandala still waved her hand lightly, signaling for them to continue. No matter what, they had to give it a shot. However, this mindset of hope did not improve their chances of victory. After the 9 Nether King, Iron Python King, and Diamond King both took the stage, but the final result left everyone feeling a heavy weight in their hearts. Iron Python King defeated. Diamond King defeated. Although such crushing defeats were not entirely unexpected, when the results came in, everyone's faces darkened. Iron Python King and Diamond King, their faces filled with shame, retreated. The opponents they faced were slightly stronger, and in direct confrontation, they were unable to gain the upper hand. The Earth's Supreme Relic was indeed a perilous area. Just the first level had already stopped them dead in their tracks. "This 9th battle, let me handle it," said Cliff King, taking a deep breath. With a stomp of his foot, he charged onto the battle stage. His imposing figure was as heavy as a mountain. The onlookers could only sigh inwardly as they gazed at Cliff King. There were no high hopes for him, as in terms of strength, he was on the same level as Iron Python King and the others. Boom. As Cliff King leapt onto the battle stage, a massive stone pillar in the ancient hall shook violently. Finally, as copper flakes fell, a dark figure crashed heavily onto the stage, releasing a suffocating aura. Everyone's gaze immediately fixed on the figure. It was small but pitch black, almost like it had been forged from dark iron. Its head was a hideous monkey's skull. One of the 10 fierce beasts, the Black Iron Demon Monkey, Mandala thought to herself, her heart sighing. While the Black Iron Demon Monkey was not the strongest of the 10 fierce beasts, it was particularly troublesome because of its ghostly speed, capable of playing with a 6th grade supreme as if they were children. It seemed that Cliff King had little chance of success in this battle. Chirp! The Black Iron Demon Monkey revealed its sharp teeth and let out an eerie laugh. As its laugh echoed, its figure instantly vanished from its original position. Such speed! The kings of the great Luo Heaven Domain exclaimed in shock. Boom! Before their voices even faded, Cliff King was sent flying backward as though struck by a tremendous force. Deep claw marks appeared on his arms, exposing bone, and blood flowed freely. Chirp! The Black Iron Demon Monkey's ghostly figure reappeared where Cliff King had just been. It gave off another sharp laugh and disappeared again in a flash of black light. Boom! 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 In the next few minutes, Cliff King found himself in an extremely perilous position. Against the Black Iron Demon Monkey's unpredictable speed, he was completely on the defensive, his body covered in savage wounds, blood almost drowning him. Upon seeing this, almost everyone had completely lost hope. However, amidst the bitter laughter and disappointment, Mandala, whose golden eyes had been fixed on the battlefield, suddenly saw a flicker of light. With her terrifying strength, she could naturally sense that, despite Cliff King's battered state, his injuries were not fatal. Given his defensive prowess, these were not lethal wounds. Moreover, Mandala vaguely sensed that within the constantly battered Cliff King, there was a surge of violent spiritual energy rapidly gathering. Though Cliff King appeared powerless to fight back, he was secretly preparing something. His patience was extraordinary. Boom! Another heavy blow struck, sending Cliff King flying several dozen yards. But before he could recover, a suffocating aura approached him, and a hideous monkey face appeared before him. A cold gleam flashed, and the Black Iron Demon Monkey's claws, sharp as divine swords, plunged directly toward Cliff King's chest. Hiss! Blood splattered as the Black Iron Demon Monkey's claws, sharp as blades, plunged into Cliff King's arm, immediately causing blood to spurt out. However, it was only when the Black Iron Demon Monkey's claws sank deep into Cliff King's flesh that his blood-soaked face twisted into a sinister, cold smile. In his other hand, terrifying spiritual energy rapidly gathered, and in an instant, a mountain the size of a palm materialized between Cliff King's palms. The mountain, intricately compact, was formed by the compression and fusion of Cliff King's own spiritual power. A terrifying fluctuation emanated from it, shaking the very space around. Beast, it's my turn now. Cliff King grinned menacingly, and with lightning speed, he threw a punch directly at the Black Iron Demon Monkey's head. Screech! Sensing the terrifying power of Cliff King's strike, the Black Iron Demon Monkey hastily attempted to dodge with its ghostly speed. But at that very moment, it realized its claws could not be pulled free. The flesh and blood on Cliff King's arm seemed to squirm and directly squeezed its claws deeper into the flesh. The black iron demon monkey's ghostly speed was immediately restricted. Boom. In the blink of an eye, Cliff King's iron fist, containing the weight of a mountain, howled toward the black iron demon monkey's head. The next moment, without hesitation, it landed a crushing blow. There was a sickening sound as the monkey's head exploded like a watermelon. The black iron demon monkey's body wobbled and collapsed to the ground, its remains scattering into countless specks of light, which then surged into Cliff King's body. Outside the battle stage, the kings watched in stunned silence at this dramatic turn of events. Even Chen stood there, dumbfounded. No one had expected that the seemingly battered Cliff King had endured until the last moment, only to strike with such savage power and finish off the black iron demon monkey in one blow. On the stage, after absorbing the essence of spiritual energy, Cliff King staggered down the battle stage. Mandala extended her small hand, and spiritual energy formed a silk-like strand, catching him. Clearly, even with his formidable defenses, after enduring the black iron demon monkey's furious assault, he had reached his limit. Mission accomplished. Cliff King grinned painfully. Well done, Mandala said softly. This victory was clearly unexpected by everyone. But it was also thanks to Cliff King's luck. The black iron demon monkey was skilled in speed, but lacked in offensive power. Had any other fierce beast been in its place, Cliff King might have had no strength left to speak by now. This game ends here. Next, I will break it. Mandala's golden eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. Watching her subordinates fight desperately while she did nothing had already begun to anger her. Even if it would cause great exhaustion, today she would shatter that bronze gate by force. Mandala stepped forward, her palm gathering terrifying spiritual energy. However, just as she was about to strike, a figure flashed past her side, and a hand grabbed her arm, halting the gathering of her energy. Mandala looked up to see Chen's young face. Domain Lord. As the king of the great Luo Heaven domain, you cannot deprive me of my chance to take action, Chen said with a slight smile. He knew Mandala didn't want him to waste his efforts, but at this moment, as the king of the great Luo Heaven domain, he clearly couldn't back down. You? Mandala was stunned. She looked into Chen's eyes, which still shone with brightness and determination. His gaze made her realize that his journey to this point wasn't based on avoidance. Mandala slowly lowered her hand and nodded. Be careful. If you're unable to win, retreat. Chen smiled and nodded in agreement. Then, with a swift movement, he leaped onto the battle stage. His sharp eyes locked onto the ancient stone pillar as his upright figure stood like a spear, his aura rising to the heavens. This final battle, I will see for myself just how formidable these so-called 10 fierce beasts really are. Chen's figure stood on the battle stage like a straight spear, radiating sharp energy. If Chen is able to win, then Mandala will be able to break the formation smoothly. Otherwise, Mandala will have to forcibly break the formation, which will inevitably lead to significant consumption. If she encounters the leaders of other top forces afterward, her weakened state will cause her to fall into a disadvantage during the battle for the spiritual divine liquid. This would undoubtedly be a devastating blow to the great Luo Heaven domain. Therefore, no matter what, they must ensure that Mandala remains in the best possible condition during the battle for the spiritual divine liquid. Thus, Chen's battle is of utmost importance. Outside the battle stage, the various kings stared at Chen's figure with grave expressions. Although they all knew how difficult it was for Chen to win with his fifth-grade supreme strength, deep down, there was a subtle expectation. This expectation stemmed from the miracles Chen had created along his journey. On this fallen battlefield, the kings had witnessed Chen turn the tide during critical moments, creating astonishing miracles. No one could guarantee that such a miracle wouldn't happen again this time. Boom. Not long after Chen ascended the battle stage, the ancient hall once again trembled as expected. The crowd's gazes quickly moved upward and landed on the top of a massive stone pillar. The bronze statue there rapidly shed its bronze plating, and finally, a towering iron tower-like figure whistled down, crashing heavily onto the battle stage. The terrifying impact caused the battle stage to shake violently. A terrifying, malevolent aura spread out from the iron tower-like figure, as if it were a solid force, making everyone's heart race. Outside the battle stage, all eyes were fixed on the figure, watching as the malevolent aura gradually receded and the figure became clearer. The figure was covered in dark black dragon scales. Its body was muscular, like iron blocks swelling up, with explosive power lurking within it, like a giant dragon in slumber. It had a fierce tiger head full of malevolent energy and oppression. But on its forehead, dark dragon horns were emerging, glowing with a cold light. One of the 10 fierce beasts, heavenly dragon tiger. Mandala's golden eyes narrowed slightly as she stared at the imposing figure. The heavenly dragon tiger was infamous among the 10 fierce beasts of the ancient heavenly palace. It was said to possess the bloodline of the heavenly dragon, and the heavenly dragon was second only to the true dragon in the dragon clan. If we were to count it, it would fall under the category of a super divine beast. Although the heavenly dragon bloodline within this heavenly dragon tiger was not very pure, it was enough to give it terrifying power. The opponent Chen faced this time would not be easy to deal with. The Xun'er king, the 9 Nether, and others also felt the pressure from the heavenly dragon tiger at this moment, and their hearts sank slightly. The heavenly dragon tiger's strength should be at the 6th grade supreme level, and combined with its ferocity, it was likely that even the Blood Eagle King and the others would feel inferior. Could Chen, with his 5th grade supreme strength, really have a chance to win against such an opponent? Roar. As the crowd anxiously watched, the heavenly dragon tiger on the battle stage let out a fierce tiger roar. The sound waves spread out like a tangible force, shaking the very space itself with the impact of the roar. Chen, with a serious expression, looked at the imposing heavenly dragon tiger and took a deep breath. He did not dare to underestimate such an opponent. Chen's mind shifted, and his eyes quickly became as deep and dark as a black hole. His face gradually became indifferent. Supreme Heart Demon Sutra, Lesser Heart Demon State. At the same time, the previously mighty spiritual energy fluctuations around him began to grow more contained. If his spiritual energy had once been like a raging volcano, now it was like a terrifying vortex beneath the sea, seemingly calm, yet far more dangerous and terrifying. Seeing the subtle change in Chen's spiritual energy, the mountain-splitting king and the others couldn't help but narrow their eyes. Such exquisite control of spiritual energy was something even they couldn't achieve. Such exquisite control of spiritual energy. The Xun'er king said in a deep voice. With such refined control, even the same amount of spiritual energy could unleash vastly different levels of power. Chen's repeated victories against stronger opponents were certainly commendable. The moment Chen activated the Lesser Heart Demon State, the heavenly dragon tiger seemed to sense the change in his spiritual energy. With a low growl, it stomped the ground, causing the stone beneath its feet to crack. In the blink of an eye, it appeared before Chen, delivering a fierce punch. The terrifying spiritual energy surged and roared, materializing into a roaring tiger that lunged toward Chen like a lightning bolt. Chen's black, swirling pupils flashed with light. He quickly retreated, narrowly avoiding the powerful punch, though the residual force still left a blood mark on his shoulder. The two figures flashed across the battlefield like lightning. Chen's fingers shot forward like spears, his spiritual energy infusing them. The winds from his fingers left marks in the air, and with a sharp, precise thrust, he aimed directly at the heavenly dragon tiger's throat. Leveraging the power of the Lesser Heart Demon State, Chen's attacks were swift as a thunderclap, nearly impossible to dodge. Even the Blood Eagle King and others watching from the edge of the battle platform couldn't help but narrow their eyes in response to the vicious, unpredictable assault. Boom. Despite losing its intelligence, the heavenly dragon tiger clearly had experienced countless battles in its past life. Its combat instincts were deeply ingrained. With lightning speed, its paw shot up to block its throat. Clang. Chen's finger spear collided with the tiger's paw, the impact resembling the sound of metal striking metal, sparks flying in all directions. The heavenly dragon tiger grinned viciously, retracting its paw to seize Chen's wrist. It yanked with terrifying strength, attempting to tear Chen's arm from its socket. Boom. At that moment, a sharp kick howled through the air, carrying overwhelming spiritual energy. It swept through the space with a violent tremor, heading straight for the heavenly dragon tiger's head. This force broke the tiger's rhythm, forcing it to raise its arm in a defensive posture. Chen used the opportunity to break free from the tiger's grip. His body shot into the air, and with a swift motion, he summoned the great Xun'er demon pillar. He poured his vast spiritual energy into it, casting a giant shadow over the heavenly dragon tiger. The great Xun'er demon pillar hurtled down. The heavenly dragon tiger let out an enraged roar, and the black dragon horn on its forehead suddenly flared with dark light. The horn expanded rapidly, colliding directly with the demon pillar. Boom! A deafening crash reverberated across the platform, with shockwaves spreading in all directions, shattering the ground beneath them. Chen's body was blasted back by the violent shockwave, but he managed to stabilize himself after sliding back several dozen meters. His hand, gripping the great Xun'er demon pillar, trembled, his palms split and bleeding from the force. His gaze fixed grimly on the source of the shockwave, where the heavenly dragon tiger stood, its fierce crimson eyes locking onto him. Beyond the battle platform, all the kings were watching intently. The lightning-fast clash between Chen and the heavenly dragon tiger earlier had been intense and brutal, but it was clear that Chen had come out on the losing end of that exchange. After all, the heavenly dragon tiger was a formidable opponent, wielding the strength of a 6th grade supreme. If it had been a typical 5th grade supreme, it would have been eliminated in the very first round. Only someone like Chen, with his abnormal power, could hold his ground and trade blows with the heavenly dragon tiger. But even with that, it was evident that defeating the heavenly dragon tiger and winning the final battle was still far from certain. Boom! Just as the thoughts of the onlookers turned, Chen suddenly released the great Xun'er demon pillar. It expanded rapidly in the wind, resembling a pillar of the heavens, and struck down toward the heavenly dragon tiger. Roar! With a roar, the heavenly dragon tiger's tail whipped out, expanding like a steel whip, and with a single swing, it sent the great Xun'er demon pillar flying. But just as the heavenly dragon tiger sent the demon pillar soaring, a powerful roar rang out from ahead. Chen leaped through the air, and behind him, the space twisted. The waves of the supreme sea surged, and then 8 beams of light shot out. The 8 beams of light let out the combined roar of dragons and elephants. When the spectators looked closely, they saw 4 giant dragons and 4 massive elephants, standing in the air. The great perfection level divine art, 9 dragons and 9 elephants art. As the 4 dragons and 4 elephants emerged, the surrounding spiritual energy rippled violently. The force was so intense that even the Blood Eagle King and the others couldn't help but flinch. 4 dragons, 4 elephants. 9 Nether's beautiful eyes flashed. She was naturally aware of the 9 dragons and 9 elephants art that Chen had cultivated, but this was the first time she had seen him use 4 dragons and 4 elephants simultaneously. However, just as 9 Nether's eyes flickered, she saw Chen on the battle platform glance at the 4 dragons and 4 elephants. He suddenly took a deep breath, and the changed hand seals did not stop, but continued to be activated. Could he refine more dragons and elephants? 9 Nether realized this. Her heart immediately startled. Roar! Under 9 Nether's burning gaze, Chen stomped his foot in midair. His eyes, like black holes, surged with sharp light. The next moment, a tremendous wave rose from the boundless supreme sea behind him in the twisted space, and 2 rays of light shot out. The loud roars of dragons and the howls of elephants echoed throughout the ancient hall. Blood Eagle King and the others looked up and couldn't help but be moved. In the void, Chen stood in midair, his eyes as dark as swirling vortexes, and behind him, 5 dragons and 5 elephants loomed, exuding an overwhelming pressure of spiritual energy that descended like Mount Tai, suffocating all in its path. Such an attack could easily make even a 6th grade supreme tremble. Yet, it was still unknown whether Chen could truly contend with the heavenly dragon tiger using the power of these 5 dragons and 5 elephants. The roaring dragon and elephant sounds rang throughout the ancient hall as Chen floated in the air. Behind him, the massive forms of 10 creatures hovered, and the 5 dragons and 5 elephants radiated an astonishing aura of spiritual energy. Great perfection-level divine art. 9 dragons and 9 elephants art. This divine art had been obtained by Chen in the vast merchant's domain. Though it was only a great perfection-level technique in progress, once fully mastered, its power could rival even some true great perfection-level divine arts. Chen floated in the air, his black eyes as deep as an abyss. After refining the 5 dragons and 5 elephants, he didn't hesitate. His hands swiftly came together, creating shadowy afterimages as he changed his hand seals. 9 dragons and 9 elephants art, dragon elephant wheel. A low shout rang out from within Chen's heart. Immediately, the 5 dragons and 5 elephants behind him roared, and then transformed into 10 streaks of light, crashing into each other. Boom! A blinding light burst from the collision point. From within that light, a massive wheel of light formed, adorned with dragon-elephant patterns along its edges. A violent surge of spiritual energy rippled out, causing the very space to tremble. Go! Chen flicked his finger, and the dragon-elephant wheel instantly turned into a streak of light, flashing like a thunderbolt. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through space and appeared before the heavenly dragon tiger. Such speed, such intense spiritual energy fluctuations, even made Blood Eagle King and the others, who were 6th grade supremes, feel their eyelids twitch. Facing such an attack, they would never dare to underestimate it. Roar! The heavenly dragon tiger seemed to sense the ferocity of Chen's attack. Its eyes narrowed, and it stomped its feet heavily. A sharp light flashed in its red eyes as it suddenly opened its mouth wide. Furious spiritual energy began to gather in its mouth, and its jaws seemed to form a huge, ferocious tiger's maw. A malevolent aura surged forth. Heavenly dragon tiger roar. A deep, rumbling growl sounded from the heavenly dragon tiger's menacing mouth. In the next instant, a dragon's roar exploded, and Blood Eagle King and the others were shocked to see a massive sound wave storm, as if made of solid material, roaring out from the tiger's mouth. Boom! The sound wave was immense and vast. As it roared outward, the image of a dragon and tiger seemed to rush through it. As the sound wave passed, the very space was torn apart, cracks forming everywhere. Such an attack was incredibly violent. Bang! The tiger's sound wave shot out and collided head-on with the roaring dragon-elephant wheel, the impact producing a deafening noise. The violent shockwave spread out, and the battle platform's unyielding floor was actually lifted in places by the force. Boom! Chen's figure slammed heavily against the light screen at the edge of the battle stage. The impact caused ripples to spread across the screen. A muffled grunt escaped from his throat as he reached back and grasped the screen, stabilizing his form. His black eyes locked onto the front, where the heavenly dragon tiger was kneeling on one knee, both hands pressed into a rune-carved stone slab. A long crack appeared in front of it. Roar! The heavenly dragon tiger's blood-red gaze also fixed on Chen. It let out a low growl as it slowly withdrew its hand from the deep floor, its arm covered in intersecting blood scars. The collision between them earlier had ended in a draw. Outside the battle stage, the various kings watched the fierce clash, their faces grave. They hadn't expected the heavenly dragon tiger to be so formidable. Even though Chen had used such powerful divine techniques, he could only barely hold his ground. This heavenly dragon tiger's strength is probably among the top in the 10 fierce beasts, the kings thought, silently impressed. Compared to the black iron demon monkey in the previous battle, this heavenly dragon tiger was undeniably much stronger. Roar! Just as the kings were processing this, the heavenly dragon tiger suddenly emitted a deafening tiger roar. Then, everyone saw blood-red light beginning to spread from its body. The blood-red glow was filled with a malevolent aura. As the bloodlight surged, the crowd suddenly realized that the heavenly dragon tiger's body was expanding, its black dragon scales growing darker and deeper. In just a few breaths, the heavenly dragon tiger's size had doubled. Standing on the battle stage, it looked like an ancient fierce beast, its dragon horns becoming even darker. Damn, its spiritual power has grown stronger. What's happening? The king's expressions changed as they noticed the transformation. It's burning its heavenly dragon bloodline, Mandala spoke up. Her brows furrowed slightly. Only a few fierce beasts were capable of such bloodline burning. The previous beasts hadn't reached this stage, but the heavenly dragon tiger had. This would significantly enhance its power, which was the worst news for Chen. Earlier, Chen had used all his means to barely match the heavenly dragon tiger, but now that it had grown stronger, the situation was incredibly unfavorable for him. Chen's indifferent face slightly shifted, clearly noticing the heavenly dragon tiger's transformation. Boom. However, the heavenly dragon tiger didn't give him much time to react. Its blood-red tiger eyes flashed with murderous intent as it stomped its foot. Its massive body exploded with terrifying speed, appearing at Chen's side in an instant. The shadow cast by its enormous frame completely enveloped Chen. Its tiger paw roared downward, carrying immense spiritual power, striking directly at Chen's head. The space itself shattered under the force of the blow. Chen swiftly dodged, his arms raised like shields to block the tiger's paw. Boom. A muffled sound rang out as Chen was sent flying by the force of the blow. His body skidded along the ground, leaving a 1,000-meter-long trail, before he slammed his hand onto the floor, shattering it to steady himself. Chen's brows furrowed. His sleeves were torn, and golden light flowed beneath his skin. The previous blow from the heavenly dragon tiger was strong enough to crush the bones of an ordinary 6th grade supreme, but due to his dragon phoenix body, his physical strength was on par with that of some divine beast physiques. Even so, his arms ached with intense pain. Boom. As Chen frowned, the sound of wind breaking came at him. The heavenly dragon tiger's frenzied assault resumed, its attacks like a torrential storm. Chen retreated quickly. The heavenly dragon tiger relentlessly pursued, its terrifying fist winds shaking the space with constant ripples. On the battle stage, the situation shifted, and Chen was nearly overwhelmed. The kings watched in worry. At this rate, even though Chen's physical strength was formidable, he wouldn't be able to withstand the heavenly dragon tiger's repeated violent attacks. The 9 nether jade hand clenched tightly. This challenge was crucial for Chen. If he failed, Mandala's plan to break the formation would become even more difficult. The tiger fist, carrying the force to shatter mountains, slammed once again onto Chen's arm. As the space rippled, Chen's figure was sent flying backward. He quickly reversed his grip and slapped his palm against the void, stabilizing his body through the shockwaves. Looking down at his arms, he saw the skin torn open, blood pouring out. By burning the heavenly dragon bloodline, it enhances the spiritual energy, thus increasing its speed, defense, and strength. Chen's eyes flickered. Despite being at a disadvantage, the lesser heart demon state kept him completely calm. He was analyzing the subtle changes in the heavenly dragon tiger's power within his mind. In this state, the heavenly dragon tiger has a very low chance of winning. However, burning the bloodline also has side effects. Once its bloodline power is exhausted, it will enter a weakened phase. I can't last until its bloodline energy burns out, so I must accelerate the burn rate of its bloodline. How can I accelerate the bloodline burning? Chen's eyes, as black as a void, seemed to swirl at this moment. His mind was flooded with insights, and finally, his gaze sharpened. Boom. Once again, he clashed head-on. Chen's body was violently sent flying and crashed heavily into the light screen, but he paid it no mind. His hands quickly formed an ancient, mysterious seal. Boom. A vast surge of spiritual energy erupted from Chen's body, like a roaring storm. In his dark eyes, golden flames flickered, and in the next instant, a dark glow shot violently from the top of his head. The dark light expanded rapidly, becoming massive in just a moment. Outside the battle stage, the spectators' gazes were drawn to it, their eyes widening. It was a massive dark tower, with ancient heavenly dragons coiling and flying across its surface. As the tower appeared, a primal, ancient fluctuation spread out. This was the Futu Divine Tower. Chen's hand seals shifted, and the Futu Divine Tower shot upward, then descended like lightning, enveloping the heavenly dragon tiger. In the next instant, dozens of golden heavenly dragons roared out of the tower, transforming into golden flames on the heavenly dragon tiger. However, this time, these golden flames didn't directly attack the heavenly dragon tiger. Instead, They became wisps of fire that entered its body through its nostrils. Roar! The heavenly dragon tiger's eyes turned blood red in an instant. In that moment, its heavenly dragon bloodline seemed to be fully ignited, and a terrifying wave of spiritual energy erupted. The kings sensed this spiritual energy fluctuation, and their expressions changed. Even the Xun'er king's pupils slightly contracted. This kind of energy was troublesome, even for him. What was Chen doing? How had he suddenly strengthened the heavenly dragon tiger's power? The kings exchanged confused glances, clearly unable to understand Chen's intentions. Only Mandala looked slightly stunned, then her golden eyes brightened. This guy actually thought of this. But it's all thanks to this black tower. The heavenly dragon fire, formed from the heavenly dragon patterns on the tower, shares the same origin as the heavenly dragon bloodline within the heavenly dragon tiger. Only this connection could instantly ignite its bloodline. Mandala's gaze shifted to the Futu divine tower, and her brows furrowed slightly. Gradually, her expression grew more serious. This tower seemed somewhat familiar. It resembled the Futu divine tower of the Futu divine clan, one of the ancient tribes. But how could Chen possess the Futu divine tower? This was something exclusive to the Futu divine clan.